This is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. Give me just a second and sit right there. Let me tell you a story about mathematics and English language arts. I hope you friends are staying active and keeping your minds going. Please watch the rest of this video as I go through our first worksheet that I assigned at the beginning of the week. I will go through that, and then we'll do some math stuff and we'll see what happens. All right, love you. Keep watching. Okay, so this paper went home with many of you last week Friday, and on Monday I went over main idea, and hopefully you got that one figured out. And then I started Tuesdays with you, which is character traits. So I finished Taylor, and I asked that you did George. So let's read through that one. George's parents knew he had a history of lying, and they were disappointed that he was such a person. Last week, he lied about not having any homework. This week, he lied when his mom asked him if he had eaten all of his vegetables for dinner. So we have to think of a word that would describe George. Well, it sounds like he lies and he's not trustworthy, so I'm going to use the word dishonest. That he was such a dishonest person. Let me know if you put a different word there, or comment if you think that that is a good fit, or if you use the same word. Okay, making inferences. So we actually did a picture similar to this at school, and we had to figure out what we could discover from the picture based off the girl that was wearing two different shoes. So now we're going to look at this picture, and an inference is using information you already have in your head to figure out what's going on in a picture or in a book. But in this instance, it's for a picture. So a couple of things that we could guess or maybe know about this image is it looks like they maybe are making breakfast. But I guess I'm not sure, but I see a blender, so maybe they're making a smoothie. So I could infer that they are making a smoothie. And I'm going to add to that inference, and I'm going to say that these two people look like they're married. And I actually see a wedding ring on his hand. So I'm going to say the couple is making a smoothie. What's something else I could infer about this picture? I guess I just made two inferences, but else? If you look at their faces, they look like they're enjoying themselves. So they are having fun. Sorry about my poor camera aim and shaky hand. Okay, and then this is also making an inference. So we're going to read the paragraph and then use inferences from the text. What do you think is going to happen in the story? Why do you think that? So we'll read that part of the story. The mad dash. It was the swim night again, and Mom waited impatiently at the school door for her daughter. If she dawdled at all, they wouldn't make it into the pool on time. When the bell finally rang, Mom was relieved to see her daughter come bounding out as fast as she could. She had been listening to her this morning after all. The pair trotted back to the car, and Mom just knew they would finally make it on time today. But then Mom put the keys in the ignition, and nothing happened. Using inferences from the text, what do you think is going to happen in the story? So after reading that, and I'm sorry, I am making this in the morning, so I guess I'm still waking up, but use inferences from the text. So we know that they were headed to a pool, and they're usually late, it sounds like, but the ignition won't start. So the car won't start up. What is something you would have to do if your car's not starting? I would maybe infer that they have to call a mechanic to get their car. They might have to get it towed based off of if it doesn't ever start up, to get the car. And maybe we could infer that a mechanic comes and is able to help. Like, it sounds like some things were going right this day. But so they do not make it to the pool. Why do you think that? Well, I think that because the car wouldn't start up, and they were already kind of trying to get there quick, so it sounds like they didn't have a ton of time to get to the pool. So they'll probably, if they make it at all, they'll at least be late. We're going to turn it over. Thursday, key details. Fill in the blank with who, what, where, when, why, or how to make each question make sense. So, do you ride a bike without training wheels? That sounds like a question on its own already. But how do you ride a bike without training wheels? Ate cereal for breakfast this morning. What ate cereal for breakfast this morning? Was it my dog? Did he eat cereal for breakfast this morning? I bet you it was Sparky. Sparky ate breakfast. No, probably not what. Where ate cereal? That doesn't work. When ate cereal? Who? Who ate cereal? Who ate cereal for breakfast this morning? How many of you ate cereal for breakfast this morning? That's kind of been my go-to meal. Blank is the closest supermarket. Where? All right, so that's how you fill that out, by filling in the blank with the what question up here works best. Answer the question about the picture. Who is walking on the path? So who would you say these people are? Maybe some friends walking on the path? Okay, so now let's look at Friday's story elements. Read each sentence below and determine which story element is being described. Then write the letter next to the corresponding element. So we have the story elements down here. Story elements are things that make up a story. So we have the character, the problem, the solution, the setting, and key details. So I'm going to start by reading A. Andrew was a stubborn little boy, and he liked to do things his way. Well, that's the character. Andrew is the character, and they're describing him. I'm going to put A right here. B. The car ran out of gas before she could make it to the gas station. That seems like a problem, so maybe I'll put B here. I can always go back and change my answer, but running out of gas seems like a problem. Trees towered over the family as they made their way through the deep, dark woods. Ooh, where do you think they're at? Sounds like they're at a forest, so I'm guessing this is the setting. It's showing us and not telling us the setting. The kids wrote their answers on paper because the computers were broken. Well, the problem is that the computers were broken. It sounds like the kids solved it by using paper instead. So I bet that's the solution. Last one. Claire jiggled the handle to see if she could get the door open. Oh yeah, that's a detail explaining kind of what our character did. So that's Friday. I hope that you finish this up. I will send out a new one for you to do next week, but I'll send it out on Monday. And I also printed some, so I will be emailing about that as well. And then I hope that you did the bonus. I'm looking to see some pictures come back from you guys about your ideal bedroom. All right, friends, it is time for our math lesson today. I'm going to have a special guest joining us soon. She's actually walking this way. Ready?
Hi there, graders!
Miss Emily is going to help us bake cookies today. And mostly that has to do with the measurement that we've been talking about. We already pre-measured everything out. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the things, and then I'm mostly going to turn it over to her. So first, this is a half gallon. I didn't use this much measurement for anything. We stuck with cups. So I need two cups make a pint. 2 pints make a quart. 4 quarts make a gallon. Miss Emily was in culinary, so she knows this stuff.
It was short-lived, but it happened.
And so that means she worked with food for a while. And then, so the sugar, we used 3/4. This is a fourth, so how many of those did I need? 3. And 4 of these make one of these. So we're just going to get started, and hopefully you enjoy, and happy Friday.
Hello, third graders. Welcome to our kitchen. So Miss Stephanie today has asked me to help you make cookies. So if you've ever made cookies before, raise your hand. I have. I hope you have too. Oh, Stephanie's raising Miss Heiser. I call her Miss Stephanie when she's here, but you guys call her Miss Heiser at school, so I'm sorry if I messed that up. Miss Heiser makes the best cookies in our house, but she's also the better filmer. So she's going to film, I'm going to make cookies. So we are following the recipe just on the back chocolate chips, because it's the best one we found. So we went ahead and got started. This is the ingredients we are going to cream together. So this is the 3/4 cup brown sugar. She showed you the measurement for that at the beginning of the video. And it's also 3/4 cup of white sugar. You can see because they actually have different consistencies. That's why they look like they could be different amounts. But I promise you, I watched her do it. They're the exact same thing. And that is a stick of butter there in the bottom.
And how much does a stick of butter measure?
It is 8 tablespoons, which I'm pretty sure is half a cup. Is it half a cup or a cup? Let's go in the fridge. This is a good learning opportunity.
The big thing to know from this is that a tablespoon is less than a cup. So if I was like to ask you which would you rather use to measure the space of this bowl, you would say cups versus tablespoons, because you'd need a lot of tablespoons to fill this up with anything.
Yes, 8 tablespoons equals half a cup.
There you go. So we would need, do the math, 16 to make a whole cup. All right.
So much butter. That sounds delicious. All right. So our directions say preheat oven to 375. Miss Stephanie did that. In the small bowl, combine flour, baking soda, and salt. Spoiler alert, we did it. In a large mixing bowl, beat butter, sugar, brown sugar, and vanilla extract until creamy. So you gotta start it on low so you don't endanger yourself or others. Plus, it just makes more to clean up. And we don't like that in this house.
So, in the light of celebrating mistakes, we are adding a second stick of butter. So that's half a cup of butter. That's what the instructions said. Originally, we were going to make banana bread, but then we had chocolate chips, and not a lot of bananas. So we chose chocolate chip cookies instead. So we're adding a half a cup of butter to our mix, or 8 tablespoons.
Yes. So now we do have 8 plus 8, which is 16.
Full cup.
We're doing it, guys.
Half a cup plus half a cup equals a whole cup.
All right. So we have successfully mixed together our 2 sticks of butter and then both kinds of sugar. So the next thing we're going to add is some vanilla flavoring. This is next to the chocolate. This is probably what helps make them taste super delicious. And then we are also, I've worn an apron so I can wipe my messy fingers on my apron. We're going to add 2 eggs. I went ahead and cracked these in a separate container before adding them to this, because that way if you accidentally get a little piece of shell in there, you can scoop it out and you don't mix up or mess up your dough, which is really good because I did have to pick a piece of shell out. So all works.
Nailed it.
You know, we just do our best around here.
Ooh, I think that cup has measuring on it. Let's look. All right. Oh, this does milliliters. You can't super see, but it has 175 as the bottom line. Let's turn this way. That equals 6 ounces. Measurements everywhere.
Can you think of something the kids would know that is also measured in liters?
All I'm thinking of is a bottle of pop.
Mm-hmm. So a 2 liter of pop is 2 liters. Works out pretty well.
All right, cook on.
Let's do it. So the next thing we're going to do is just kind of take a look at the batter. Get it all scooped down to the bottom. I just finished mixing in those eggs. Isn't it crazy how much dough changes while you work with it? So we come back to the instructions. I'm going to see where we are. Add eggs. Beat in flour mixture gradually. Okay. So here is our flour. This was 2 in 1/4 cups of flour. Miss Heiser already showed that to you. That's 1 of these. This is 1 cup. I did 2 of these. I think this is the 1/4. This is the 1/4. I did 1 of these. It takes 4 of these guys to equal 1 of this one.
So that's where fractions coming in to it. But I was actually thinking of the recipe here, and the author's purpose of a recipe. It's not to persuade, although these might be the best cookies in the world. It's probably to inform. And then we know cookies are entertaining, but that's probably not why the person wrote these instructions. So author's purpose, inform.
It's true. Eating the cookies is arguably more entertaining than reading the recipe. So that's the entertaining part, I think.
I would agree.
If you have a different opinion, please leave it in the comments, and we'll talk about it. Or Miss Heiser will, because it's her account. All right, so we have our flour. I'm also going to add a teaspoon. That one's salt.
So we pre-measured these out.
We did, because I was afraid I would spill on camera. Not that I spill a lot. And then that is a teaspoon of baking soda. Not to be confused with baking powder. They are different. We're going to mix them up. You shouldn't be able to see any of the little white things. It should just all look like it's mixed in to the flour. That looks pretty good to me. What do you guys think?
Okay. You're doing great, Miss Emily.
Thank you, Miss Heiser. So now this part gets tricky. You might want to ask a parent for help. We have to turn the oven on before this, so probably ask a parent for help before this. You don't want to add all the dry ingredients at once, because it will all end up over your face, in your clothes. We're not about to want to clean stuff up, right? So we're going to add just, I don't know, like 1/3 of it.
Ooh, fractions again.
I know. So like if you broke it into 3 parts, let's see if we can add this in like 1/3 or 1/4. Okay. Let me close our eyes just a little bit in case it pops up on us. Okay.
We're good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you slowly make your mixer go faster. You can add this in. And all that butter and other liquids we added, they're going to just soak up all of that flour. And once it looks pretty mixed in like that, we're going to add a little bit more.
Another 1/3.
Another 1/3.
So now we have 2/3 of our
true.
dry ingredients in there.
We do. This one looks like it might have been a little bit of a large 1/3.
Not how fractions work, but estimating, it's how it works estimating.
They are in this kitchen.
All right, we'll get back to you in a bit. So we have added the chips. I bought the morsels, so they're really big.
They're delicious. I ate one before they went in there.
I've ate more than one. But at times like these, you eat lots of chocolate. Also, I just always eat lots of chocolate. You guys know that.
It's true. It's been a weird couple days. So we didn't have to grease this pan because there is so much butter in these cookies. They're going to slide right off. And then you kind of just, you can make these as big or as small as you want. We like them probably a little bit bigger in this house. I'd say so. What would you say, Miss Heiser?
We give variety to our cookies.
We do. Probably one of our favorite ways to eat them is warm right out of the oven. And we would serve them with vanilla ice cream or whatever your favorite kind of ice cream is. And then you have a warm cookie and it kind of starts to melt the ice cream. It is delish.
And you friends know how much I like chocolate and ice cream, so it's about to get real in here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll show you the end product in a little bit. And just like that, we have made cookies.
They're beautiful!
You have now learned a little bit more about fractions and measurement and a little bit more about me and Miss Emily. We want to say thank you, Miss Emily, for your help.
Oh, know where I'd rather be, quite literally. Stephanie and I are stuck in this house together,
So you'll see her in later videos. I love you guys, and actually stay tuned because I'm going to read a story after this. So, bon appetit.
Taste test. We got a taste test.
I got a taste test too.
Yeah.
I have
Ready?
one.
Here. No, just do it with the gum. It'll be a good, it'll be a good mix of flavors.
It actually does look really good. Yeah, it's really good with the gum.
A little minty, a little chocolatey.
Right out of the oven.
Have a happy day.
So, third graders, I have a confession to make. The book, The Secret Zookeeper, that I recommend to a lot of you to read all the time, I have never actually read. I did go to the assembly when the author of the book talked to us about it, and it sounded really, really cool. So I decided I'm going to use this time up to read this book. So to finish up our video lesson for today, I'm going to read some of The Secret Zoo. And then comment below if this is something you want me to keep reading to finish up our videos. All right, here we go. Written by Bryan. The Discovery of a Secret, July 18. Megan raced across her backyard to the tree fort. The wind snapped her pajamas, and the stiff grass pricked her bare feet. At the trunk, she grabbed the ladder and peered up. She could faintly see the wooden planks of the fort, and beyond them, the moon and stars. Somewhere up there, she left her glasses. At least, she hoped she had. She climbed the long ladder and crawled into the fort. A glint of moonlight pulled her attention to a near corner, where she discovered her glasses lying like a big crumpled insect. She scooped them up and put them on. "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you," she gasped. A sudden noise broke through the trees. It was a faint crackling sound, like a piece of dry wood splintering, and it came from nearby. 2 or 3 houses down, maybe. Megan stood still and listened. A minute later, she heard the noise again, but this time it was louder. Crack! Then she heard a grunt, as if someone had been hurt. She ran to the wall of the fort and looked up and down the neighbor's lawn. Nothing. The dark landscape was creepy. She whistled and called the next-door neighbor's dog. "Patches, is that you? Are you?" She heard the noise again. Crack! Then a thump and a thud and another grunt. Megan and her friends kept binoculars in the fort. She found them and balanced the lenses on her nose. Magnified, her neighbors looked even darker than before, and the houses seemed to be trembling, until she realized that her hands were shaking. "The zoo," she whispered. She ran to the opposite side of the fort. The only thing separating her neighborhood from the Clarksville City Zoo was a long, winding concrete wall. From Fort Scott, she had a clear view over this wall. In daylight, she could watch the giraffes, bears, seals, and hippos as they ran, swam, and lazed about. She steadied the binoculars and stared into the zoo. Lampposts illuminated the paths, but the exhibits were too dark to see. She heard the crushing sound again and realized that it wasn't coming from the zoo. She dashed back to the opposite window and scanned the neighbor's yard once more. Nothing. Nothing but grassy lawns, trees, and rooftops. The grunting echoed between the houses. Megan pushed up the binoculars so suddenly that they clinked against her glasses. Now she was more than creeped out. She was downright scared. "Come on, Megan," she said. "Nothing's out there. Quit freaking yourself," she gasped. Something was there. Some kind of creature was walking on a gabled rooftop 3 houses down. "What is that?" she whispered. She focused the binoculars and discovered 5 creatures creeping across the roof. A 6th was climbing the branches of the oak tree beside the house, making the limbs break. This was the sound she heard, branches breaking. Suddenly, the creatures leaped from the shaking tree, flew through the air, and landed on the house with the others. It stomped up to the roof peak and bounded onto the chimney. The other 5 creatures were small and hunched over. Their long arms dangled at their side, and as they walked, their shoulders rocked like a seesaw. Megan continued to watch them until she realized what they were. Monkeys. It was impossible. It seemed monkeys had escaped the zoo and were climbing over a house in her neighborhood. One monkey leaped from the edge of the rooftop. Megan had a clear view of its silhouette in the front of the moon. Its feet hit the gutter of the adjacent rooftop with a clang, and the other monkeys followed, effortlessly, jumping the distance between the houses. "No," she said as she stared in disbelief. "No." The monkey jumped to the next house, and the next, and then disappeared into the shadows. Silence and stillness descended over the neighborhood. Noah? Megan hurried down the ladder and rushed into the house, and her older brother would not know what to do. She flung open his bedroom door, startling him out of his sleep. What? Noah gasped. His hair stood out in all directions, reminding Megan of sun rays in a cartoon. Noah, outside, she blurted. Quick! What? Now! She ran back through the house. Noah chased her outside. They dashed across the yard and climbed up to Fort Scout. What are you? Megan snatched the binoculars and shoved them at her brother. Here! Here what? Look through them, she pointed toward the rooftop. Over there. I saw monkeys. Megan! I saw monkeys on the rooftops. Her older brother looked her up and down. You're nuts. Just see for yourself. Noah peered through the binoculars. He searched the landscape for more than a minute without saying a word. Then he handed the binoculars back to his sister and said, Yep, you're nuts. Noah, I saw them. I'm telling you. He climbed down the ladder saying, What are you doing out here so late anyways? You'll be so dead if Mom catches you out here. He reached the ground and turned to run towards the house, calling, Come inside. Megan watched him run back into the house and close the door on the night. She turned her attention back to the rooftops and neighbors' yards. She studied the shadow landscape for nearly an hour, but nothing unusual happened. I know I saw them, she said, trying to convince herself. She climbed down from the fort, returned to the house, dropped in bed, and stared at the ceiling. She couldn't sleep. At 2 o'clock in the morning, she rolled out of bed and sat at her desk. Nervous, she drummed her fingers on the desktop and shifted her eyes. Her gaze stopped on a single book standing on its edge, a diary, a recent gift from her mother. The diary lacked its first entry. Megan snatched it up and opened to the first page. The binding was so stiff that she had to press the cover down before it would lie flat. She stared at the page. It was ridiculously colorful. Red paper with purple lines and blue stars in the corners. In class, she learned about brainstorming, scribbling down ideas as quickly as possible. Her teacher had said it was a way to make sense of something that was difficult to figure out. Megan grabbed a pencil, chewed on the eraser for a moment, and started to write. Date, July 18. Time, 11 p.m. I went outside because I forgot my stupid glasses in Fort Scott again. When I climbed up, ... She wrote for an hour. Then she closed the diary, set it aside, turned off the light, and climbed back into bed. An hour later, she fell asleep without knowing that she just completed the first page of a journal that would eventually alter the course of the world. So then we're on After the Discovery, October 2. So July 18 to October 2. And I'm going to pause there. Let me know if this is something you want me to keep reading aloud. Please let me know soon because I definitely know I'm going to keep reading it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know you might have saw some outfit changes. I miss you guys a lot and I look forward to hearing from you. Keep it real. Stay active. Love you.